ladies and gents. Unsurprisingly, I'll be voting to remain on Thursday. I was talking to my mum about this a bit recently, and she said she finds it ridiculous that we're being expected to vote on something like this, because as far as she's concerned, the reason we elect a government is to make these decisions themselves. She leans to the left of centre, as do most of my family. However, I'm much harder left, and as such I'm a bit more open to the idea of direct democracy. However, I do sort of see her point, given as the general public are suddenly being expected to be experts on things like economics and foreign policy, and essentially to vote on something they quite simply haven't been equipped to understand. Personally, I'm a musician, and should I ever plan to play shows in continental Europe, which I'd like to do at some point in the future, then it will be a lot easier for me if Britain is part of Europe, given as I will have the freedom to go to other parts of the Union and work without having to faff around sorting out visas. For other professions, it's similar. The very threat of the UK leaving the EU has in itself seriously jeopardised the professional relationship some businesses in the UK have with businesses on the continent. The Brexit campaign has been perpetuating a number of arguments, most notably that EU membership costs the UK £350 million per week, and that the EU is undemocratic. Now, the £350 million per week argument is quite simply untrue. The UK Statistics Authority and the Institute for Fiscal Studies are both on record as confirming this. The argument that the EU is undemocratic demonstrates a failure to understand how the EU works. Any law passed in Brussels has to be approved by both the European Parliament and the Council of the European Union, both of which are made up of elected politicians. There are, of course, different forms of democracy, and we can argue till the cows come home as to which kind of democracy is the best kind, but the fact remains, the claim that the EU is undemocratic is simply untrue. I don't doubt that there are problems with the EU, but the way to fix those is to be part of it, not to take our bat and ball home in a huff a la Brexit. I can't help but get the impression that the majority of Brexiters are much more motivated by their paranoia about immigration and their predisposition to good old-fashioned jingoism than they are to actual facts and figures, and I've no time for that kind of pettiness. I hope that's given people some food for thought. Hopefully I should be participating in a hangout on this topic on Captain Meekel's channel tomorrow at around lunchtime if anyone's interested. Thanks for watching.